It's Katie from the Everhart Museum for Museum Adventure Week for K through 2nd Mystery Week, and this is lesson number 3. For lesson number 3, we're going to explore different items that are inspired from things found in Egypt and explore how they feel, how they look, how they smell, how they sound. We're not going to explore the sense of taste with this box because we don't want to eat anything from our sensory box, but that is our 5th sense. So with this sensory box, there's a mystery of things inside that we want you to explore. By reading through and taking a look at our lesson plan for this box, you'll see that we're going to discover the reflective quality of the Nile River with our reflective sheet here. That we're going to feel what an ancient scarab might have felt like and see the remains of hieroglyphics in the carvings on the bottom of the scarab and see how it fits in your hand. What does it sound like if you hit it? Now, this isn't an ancient one. This is a 3D printed one. You can see all the lines of the thread of plastic that was used to build it up. But it's the same size and shape and has the same bumps and ridges that a traditional one found in ancient Egypt would have. You can see the lines that has the idea of a beetle's body on the back. In your kit, you have some wool. It might be some fun and more playful colors, but the wool is going to represent different animal furs, different hairs, different fibers that the ancient Egyptian culture used. How does this feel similar or different to your scarab? Explore it, pull it apart. Maybe brush it on the back of your hand or on your wrist to see how it feels differently. You can use that for different collages or purposes for you today. But what do you think the ancient Egyptian culture used fibers for thousands of years ago? In your kit, you will find some kinetic sand. You can feel it inside your bag so it doesn't come out and make a big mess. But do you think ancient Egyptian culture had kinetic sand or regular sand that you would find at the beach or in a desert? Do you think it would feel the same or a little bit different? If you're feeling brave and going to clean up any of your messes, you can take it out of the bag to explore even more, but make sure you clean up after yourselves. So using those senses, what do you think made this helpful or a hindrance, so a problem in the ancient Egyptian culture? I'm going to seal mine back up so it doesn't make a mess in my house. So what do you think its role was, or how do you think it affected the daily lives of the ancient Egyptian culture? In your kit, you have a piece of papyrus. Take a close look at this. Use all of those senses: sight, touch, sound, maybe not taste, and touch. And what do you think this was? Give your best guess. Papyrus is known as one of the oldest types of paper. And the ancient Egyptian culture made this paper from reeds found along the Nile River and stripped them apart and flattened them out as best they could. And there are historical articles of ancient Egyptian writing on papyrus still around today for us to see and explore and learn from. How does this compare to the paper of your lesson plan, to the paper of your postcards? See the difference, feel the difference, and see how maybe you write on it and how that works now that you know that it was used as paper. So this can use a lot of different senses to learn more about it. In your kit, you have some fancy plastic jewels. Why do you think there are plastic jewels in your sensory box? They're all different shapes and colors. They reflect, they shine, they glisten. That's right. Ancient Egyptian culture, jewelry played a huge part in showing off their status. Their pharaohs most definitely had the fanciest of jewels to show off that they were the ones ruling the kingdom. And a lot of times their jewels would go into their tomb with them so that they could take them to their afterlife as well. They held very strong significance in their daily life. So take a good look at it. Use all your senses of sight, touch, sound. Once again, don't try to taste these. That would be quite icky or dangerous. And see what you can discover a little bit more about those jewels using those senses. Lastly, in your kit, you have a little thing of Play-Doh. Now, we gave you Play-Doh instead of different types of clay or ceramics or concrete that might have been used in the Egyptian culture, but feel this. How does it differ, or how is it similar to your sand? How is it differ, or how is it different from your wool? Take a good look at it and see what you think. You can use this Play-Doh, and after you make sure you're in a good work area, you can try to create your own scarab. See if you can use different tools in your fingers to draw those textures in them. See if you can take it out and mold it into the shape of an ancient Egyptian pyramid. Use all your different senses and skills to come up with a creative and fun way for you to use that Play-Doh. We might use it later in the week as well, so be sure to put the cap on all the way to keep it nice and moist for other uses. So when you are all done with your sensory box, okay, these are all things that are similar to very important things of the Egyptian culture. I wanted to challenge you to think of things that are important to you. Think of this kind of like a time capsule that's showing us the significant things of ancient Egyptian culture. Think of it like you can put things in this box that show significance to your life, because maybe thousands of years from now, somebody is going to want to know what you liked and be able to explore your culture and your life through items such as these. So think of things that you might put in the box for yourself. Make sure that if it's something that will degrade or rot over time, like food, if you're a really healthy eater and you love apples and you want to put an apple in here, make sure you don't leave it in there forever and be silly like that. But think of those things that you might go put into your box. Find things for all five senses, something that sounds different, something that tastes different, but still don't leave it in your box forever. Something that feels different, something that looks different, and I'm forgetting my fifth one. Looks, sees, tastes, sounds, and I need your help. Think of that fifth sense. And if you've thought of it, you can type it into our Google Classroom. Share with us your thoughts on these items and what you think the roles they played in ancient Egyptian culture. And on our Google Classroom, take a picture of the sensory box that you put together for your life and share with us on the Google Classroom. And then get ready, because we're going to use our model magic clay. You might have a slightly different color, but it's going to be in your Ziploc baggie, and this type of clay is what we're going to use to make a pinch pot. So something similar to little vessels that we've found, not me personally, but archaeologists have found in ancient Egyptian tombs. And we're going to see if we can make one of those ourselves out of this model magic. So check out the next video to see the step-by-steps for creating your own pinch pot out of this model magic clay. And I hope you had a great time with your sensory box and your pinch pot today. All right, I'm ready to show you our pinch pot for Mystery Week, for Museum Adventure Week for the Everhart Museum in Scranton, Pennsylvania. So we have Model Magic. This is squishy modeling material. It will dry in the air. It does not need to be baked in any way to be finished. So I'm going to carefully open up. Make sure I'm working in a decently clean space that can be cleaned up well after I make my pinch pot. And I want to decide first, do I want to try to use the whole piece or do I want to try to work with half? Maybe if you've never worked with this before, you just want to do half of it and see how it goes, and then maybe later you can decide to smush it back together and try again. So I'm going to just work with half of my modeling clay, my Model Magic clay, and I'm going to roll it between both palms to get it into a nice ball shape. Okay, you're going to notice with the Model Magic that the creases will get formed. You can use your fingertip to rub them, smooth them out as best you can, and roll it into a ball again. Once you have a ball of clay, we're going to use our thumb and holding it in our opposite hand, gently push our thumb down into the center. We don't want to push it all the way through the bottom, so don't use too much muscles, and hold it in the other hand. This is called a pinch pot because the way you build it is by just pinching it gently on the outside. So we want to first start off at the bottom, and we're going to work our way up, gradually pinching it. So I'm going to pinch and turn, pinch and turn. Don't try to squeeze it too quickly, because if you try to do this with regular earthenware clay or stoneware clay, it's going to crack really quickly. And we don't want to treat this Model Magic any differently. So I'm still squeezing at the bottom, and we're really using that sense of touch. How does the clay feel between our fingers? How thick is it in different parts? We want it to be as even as possible. So I'm going to pinch and turn and pinch and turn. I like sometimes to have my students really intensify that sense of feeling by closing your eyes while you're seated safely, and pinch and turn your pinch pot that way. That way you're really thinking about how the clay feels between your fingers and not just what it looks like. So I'm going to feel my clay and try not to pinch it too quickly and try not to pinch it too hard. And while you're working, you want it to end up to be about the thickness of a pencil all the way through. That's going to be a good, strong structure for your pinch pot. So I'm going to pinch and turn and pinch and turn. Once I get all the way to the top, I've got a little bitty cup. And maybe it looks like your mystery object out of your kit. Maybe it looks like the objects we've discussed this week from ancient Egypt. Maybe it looks totally different in a creation all by you, and that's just fine too. I'm going to use my fingertip again to try to smooth out any of those cracks gently and carefully. The clay is going to want to go all over the place if you're not very careful and gentle with it. Then it is air dry clay, so all you need to do is set it to dry, and you might want to tap it to the table a little bit to flatten the bottom. That way it'll stand more upright later on. And if you want to leave it like that to dry, that works. If you think it's going to be stronger and safer to dry upside down, you can do that as well. But once it's dry, it'll stay in that position, and you'll have a wonderful little pinch pot. Then, if you only used half of it, you can use this to make what you want, or you can ball this all back up and try to make an even bigger pinch pot. So I'm going to squeeze it all back together and repeat all those same steps. Roll it in a ball, push my thumb almost through, pinch and turn, pinch and turn. So see what you can create out of your Model Magic trying that pinch pot first.